Hey guys, it's Alex here, and today I've got another After Effects tutorial for you, and this time we will be going over I'm going to call it the Particle intro screen, and it's very much like some of my other Particle tutorials such as the scope, but we can use it with a camera in After Effects and make some 3D animations, and the audio reacts to the music, and you can change the text as you can see here, and I'll just do a little preview for you. So we can make it scoop round here with the camera to then reveal the next text. Now this is going to be quite a long and complicated tutorial, so I'm going to go straight into it, but we will get through it. So I'm going to make a new project, and bear with me because I did this a hell of a long time ago in my ski and snowboard edit, so I will just import a song. I have no idea where the song is. There it is. So I'll just import a song for now, and obviously you would want to have your clips all lined up and that. So, but I'm going to go composition, new. I'm going to call this main. Main, and I'm just going to make it 1280. Make it 1280 by 720. It would be 59.94 if I was working with a project. I'll just make it 10 seconds for now, and click OK. So first of all, I'm just going to make a quick background, so I'm going to do that by going new, solid, and we'll just call this BG, and we'll make it black for now. And I'm going to make a new solid again. I'm going to call this BG ramp as well, and I'm going to go to effects and presets, and when this loads, so yeah, I'm going to be going quite quickly here, just because it is a quite complicated and long tutorial. Yeah, my After Effects seems to have frozen, which is always good news. Alright, good. So we'll type in ramp in the effects and presets, and we'll drag that onto our BG ramp layer. I'm going to make this a radial ramp, and I'm going to get this eyedropper tool. I'm going to make it black, so they're both black, and I'm just going to make the top one a dark grey, and then I'm just going to drag this down, maybe actually we'll drag it up like that, maybe make this a tad darker just so it gives it a bit of life, and then we're going to put the scatter up so we don't get all these lines to maybe about 100, and now we've got our background. So the next thing to do is to make our form there, so we're going to go new, solid again, and we're going to call this form, and we're going to search up in our effects and presets form. Now you will need this plugin, but I'm sure most people have all the trap code now. If you don't have it, just search it up on YouTube. There's always a way to get it. So first of all, I've copied down these settings I used, and I'm just going to go over them now. So for the X, I made it 1900. I have no idea why, but that's what I used in the original. Then 1000. And the size in X, leave that at 200. Particles in X, make it 150. You could always pump this up when you're going to render, but just while we're working at the moment, we might as well keep it quite low to save render time. I'm going to make the particles in Z or Z 1. So now we have one grid of particles. We can scroll down and we can go to the particle tab, and we can make the feather 10 just to make them a bit more crisp, and make the size 2. Again, pick any colour you want. I'll go for a nice blue, as I always do, so I think it looks really nice. And we can always put the size random, maybe 25, and same with the opacity, just to give a bit of variation. We can go down to the audio react now, so I'm just going to bring in my audio layer, but obviously you would want to maybe have it all synced up and just before like your shot, so I'll just go scoop forward. We'll go back to our form, go down to the audio react tab, make our audio layer the song. Now the first reactor, we're going to make the fractal, and we can make this 50. You won't see much change because we haven't actually gone into the fractal field yet and changed some of the settings. And we can also go to disperse, and we can make this 25. So now we can keep on going down. We can go to disperse and twist. We can just disperse them a bit, make it about 20 maybe. And we can go to the fractal, and we can displace them maybe about 180. So now we start to get some nice looking stuff. Now I'm just looking at my notes, and there was one thing I forgot to note down, which was actually the sphere in the middle. But we can mess around with some of the settings. So we can go to the spherical field, and we can put up the strength of sphere 1. So now we start to get a sphere in the middle, but you can't really see it. We can put the feather down to 0, and we can just bump this up, maybe 250, maybe a bit more, 275, maybe more, 285. Yeah, so it's all personal preference how big you want it. Probably leave it there for now. Maybe go up a bit more, or make it 295. Alright, so now we have our sphere. Now you can see that there's all these little sort of particles in the middle, but I don't really want that because I just like to have a clean sort of edge. So what we can do is we can duplicate our background. So, because say if you had a bit more of a more adventurous background, you would want it to be the same at the back. Instead of just creating like a solid to put over it, we can then duplicate these. And we can go to layer, and we can pre-compose them, move all the attributes into a new composition, and we can call this sphere middle. Actually, no, we just call it middle matte, and click OK. So now they're all in its own composition. So now what we can do is we can now mask. We can go to our ellipse tool, we can go in the center, and we can drag out, and if we hold shift it will make a perfect circle, and if we hold control it will bring it to the middle, and we just want to make it so it's the same size as the sphere there. And now if we just solo this, we just got this here, and if we put that above our form layer and we unsolo it, you can now see we've got this center in the middle, and we can just feather this out a bit, maybe by 10 pixels, like that. So now we have that. And now also what I did in the example was I also made another layer. So I went to the new solid, and I'm going to call this sphere matte, and click OK. And now I'm just going to hide it for now. I'm going to click on our ellipse tool again, and I'm going to go to the center, but it sort of disappeared, which I don't know why. For this, oh, it's probably because I did that. So I'm going to go in the center, and then drag out, hold shift and control, and I'm just going to make this a bit bigger than the circle, so maybe about there. I think that looks good, and we can hide this layer now, and we can put this above the form layer. And if you can't see your track matte options, press F4, and we're going to make the form alpha inverted. Yeah, alpha inverted. So now we've got a bit more of a circle, and we can put the feather maybe to 150, and we could then mess around if we press MM on our keyboard, and we can mess around with the mask expansion a bit. So I think bring it in a bit. Let's bring it in about -50. It's all personal preference, but I think that looks, maybe a bit more actually, maybe -100. Yeah, that looks good. So now we have that. So now all these particles are audio reacting to the music, and we can now click F4 again, and because we want our mattes to move when we add the camera, we want to make them a 3D layer. So we'll make that one a 3D layer, and also our composition there. Okay, so now we can make a new text layer, and so I could say Revoss. I'll make it white, and we can add some, I don't know, I can add some quick glow. I think I'm having to go quite quick because this is already 9 minutes. Let's scale this down. I'll leave the glow until the end, I think, just in case I run out of time. So we can then make this also 3D. Now what's left to do is to make our camera, so we can go Layer, New, Camera, and we just call this Camera, click OK. Then to make it easier to control our camera, we can go to Layer, New, Null Object, and we can call this Camera Controls, like that, and make it a 3D layer. And then we can parent, with using the pigwidth tool here, the camera to our controls. So now what we can do is we can start to animate. So first of all, if we go to the if we click R on our keyboard and brings up the Y rotation, we can stopwatch. We hear the stopwatch of the Y rotation, like that, and we can set this to 90. So now you can see you can't actually see any of it because it is just horizontal on the side. So that is it there, but we're looking at it from the side. So we can go forward 30 frames, and you can do this by clicking Shift, page down 3 times, like that, and we can go to say 20. So it's not all the way facing, but it is just about. So as you can see now, it rotates in like that, and then we can go forward maybe so maybe 2 seconds, and then we can make this -20. So we still got a bit of movement while you can still actually read the text. Now what we'll do is we'll go forward another 30 frames, like that, and we can make this -90. So now it's flipped around this way, and then we can also then we can go forward another 30 frames. Oh, press the wrong button. 1, 2, 3. So now we're at 3 seconds, and we can make this -60. So I'm just adding 70 on -160. Sorry. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding 70 on, but we would want to go 90 to make it face on, but I only want it 20 less, so 70. And then we can go forward another a minute and a half, so to there, and we can then make this -200, like that, and then we can go forward another 30 frames, 1, 2, 3, and we can then make this -270, like that. So now we have our animations, but as you can see on this one, this is where we want to change our text. So if we go into our middle keyframe here, where it turns to the side, if we just trim our text layer, which is here, so it's going to click Alt and then N bracket, we can then make a new text layer quickly. Call this tutorial. Scale this down. That. We can then trim this one by pressing Alt begin bracket, so it starts instead of ends, and then now we can make this then a 3D layer. And now you can see that the tutorial comes in, but it is facing the wrong way. So we can fix that by going to clicking R and changing the Y rotation to 180, which will flip it around, center it back up, and as you can see, we just see now what's happened is I've moved it back in 3D space. That's why. So let's make that 0 again, and there we have it. And I'm still moving it back. I need to use these sliders here. Right, so that's now centered. So now you can see it all wipes in very nicely, like that. And that is the basis. Then we can make the camera rotation look a bit nicer by going to our graph editor. So if we make sure the Y rotation is selected, and we can click. So now what I want it to do is, as it rotates around, I want it to go fast, but then slowly go in. So we can click on this keyframe here, and then we can hit this little button to ease it in. We can just drag this pulley. So now what's happening is going fast, and then it just slowly slows down, and then we can do the same, but this time we want it to go fast out. So we click this one, drag it out a bit, and we want it to ease in here. So we can click on this keyframe, ease it in, pull this out, We want it to go fast out, so we can ease it out by, oh, wrong one. Click on that keyframe and then ease it out like that. That will just make it a lot more fluid and a bit nicer. Now I've gone over 15 minutes, which was my target, but I might as well just carry on now. So I'm going to show you how I can go over some glow. So we can type in glow into our effects and presets. We can drag glow onto the form layer just to, you know, bring out the particles a bit more. Then we can add glow also onto our text layers. I'll make this maybe 4 intensity, I think. No, you can't actually see anything because that was the Revoss one. So we want tutorial, add that on 4. Yep, and we can add now maybe some star glow. And we can make the length about 5. Go to the color map A, and we can make this electric. That would work well. And we can then also, I'll just make this a bit lighter. We can go to color map B, and we can just change these to maybe a bit of a more greeny, subtle. So obviously just play around with these colors, but yeah, there you go. So that's just some basic sort of glow settings. Now it's quite harsh on it, but I mean we could lower the opacity in it to 50. But actually, that's basically what I did. So then you could just copy the star glow onto the Revoss text, and there you have it. That is how I made my intro screen that was requested. So keep your tutorial suggestions coming. They're really good. I think the next tutorial will be probably some Cinema 4D lights and materials, just how to get some like really nice glossy text and things like that. And obviously when you actually come to render this out, always add some motion blur onto it, just to make it, because it will really bring out the particles. Or you can even go into the form there, and we can actually turn on the motion blur in the form. We can go to motion blur. Instead of being on comp settings, we can switch it to on, and that will bring out some really nice motion blur. Obviously that will increase the render time, but if you're doing a final render, it will look really nice. So yeah, that's all for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next tutorial or edit, because I may be entering Baker's 50k. I think I've got some great ideas for some edits, and then I'll probably make eventually a tutorial on them. So I hope you enjoy it. Please like the tutorial if you thought it was helpful in any way. And that's all. Thanks, guys. See you later.